Hello again, friends. It's us. We're here. We're back. It is the Sci-Fi AI Guy Monday night stream, and tonight, Sci-Fi AI Guy Plays. What we're doing is playing some itch games, and now we're turning to our second game, which is a lovely little game called Down. That's lowercase with a full stop at the end, by Pixel Bark Games. And this game promises to be a short, somber narrative experience about depression and anxiety. 2 thumbs way up. I obtained this game, like a lot of people did, in the itch.io bundle for racial justice and equality, which finished up on the 16th of June and raised over $8 million for the Black Lives Matter movement in America. So that money went to the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, and it went to the Community Bail Fund. And I just wanted to, point out, we're not experts on this topic. We encourage people to educate yourselves, particularly locally. Being Australians, we definitely want to call attention to the fact that in Australia, 438 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have died in police custody since 1991. And to this day, the institutions that are told to serve and protect are not held to accountability for this. So I definitely recommend going to pathtoequality.com.au because there's a lot of links there about donating, petitions. You can read, watch, listen, learn. Brands, artists, and organizations that I recommend that you support. This is what I encourage.
There will be links below this video on YouTube. Yes. Let's move on to something that we have more expertise in: depression and anxiety.
Yeah. I like to think of myself as a thought leader on feeling fucking down. So let's toast
something we
Dr. Pepper.
Something we can all celebrate.
I think I would be shocked if Dr. Pepper wasn't at some point loosely prescribed in an ad as a treatment for something, right? Like, can you imagine the original ads for Dr. Pepper? Like,
surely it has to have been one of a remedy at some point, right?
Yeah, I know that hot Dr. Pepper is something that people drink.
I hate that. Let's move swiftly on.
All right, cool. You're not down.
I hate that.
You're not down with it.
Whole idea and experience.
All right. Well, so this game, it was pretty loud when it kicked in. Actually,
it was.
Let me just before we actually properly go live. With the game, let me just drop this down to about here, and we'll see how it goes in desktop audio for people at home. But let's jump over to the game. Okay. So this is about as much as I've seen.
Yeah.
I love the fogginess, and I've always loved fogginess.
Wow, it's like pixelated. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always loved fogginess as a mechanic for hiding what you haven't rendered. Which is to say, it. Oh, I got the burps now. It can look very bad, but I've got nostalgia for it. I didn't play as much PlayStation games as some people, and I know that PlayStation games for a while there were, so chunky. Like, we're talking like PS1. Okay, so we can move. There's a chair. I love the little bit of piano.
I don't hear that just yet.
I mean, maybe it's not piano, but there's some low.
I hear it now.
Yeah, some baritone. Oh, no, not Mass Effect. Metal Gear Solid alert noise. Okay, so ears interact. Good to know. I'm hesitant to walk too fast. This isn't a place I want to sort of speed run.
Yeah.
Like. Okay, I'm trying to get into I'm trying to let this all sort of really sink in.
Can you just walk left, right?
Yes. Yeah. I also have a lot of affection for 3D, but 2D.
Yeah.
I've got nothing against a game restricting my axis of movement. Frankly, that can be better sometimes. Hot take. Bold.
Did I leave that note?
Yeah, I don't know how this program in Unity hacked my live journal, but it's been a long time since I accessed that account, so, I should just burn it to the ground. All my posts are still there.
The offices of LiveJournal? You'd be doing the world a favour. All these branches overhanging in the front of frame are really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just that, get some of that crisp.
And just
crisp branch. The slow pan as well. Like
it accelerates and then decelerates. Like
right. The world exists beyond you in a particular way because it has momentum in that.
This is the sort of color I would actually associate with very still water. and not grass. It's just that hue to me says like it isn't because we're walking on. I mean, for all I know, it is. But
I think the fog is
okay. So content warning. That fucking word. Just gonna walk away from that. Okay. So this was one of the tricky things about this game because, and I apologize for not prefacing verbally. I'll pop something in the actual description of the video.
Sure.
When we YouTube this.
This is the nature of doing a thing live.
Yeah. And I've seen other streams handle it better where, for instance, all they do is play horror games, and so they preface it by saying that horror games don't handle things well. So broad content warning, etc., etc. But yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a game that is going to be about negative self-talk, I'm imagining.
Yeah. So let's just, let's approach this with caution. So, I'm actually going to bring this back to a previous discussion we've had about the swapper. We were talking very briefly about internal monologue stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So I, can absolutely have periods of being quite down and anxious on a different axis to other people, I would say. Like I present in my own unique way, etc., etc. And that's everyone, right? Like there's going to be common things and uncommon things and whatever. Not saying that I'm especially uncommon, but anywho, what I'm trying to say is that these sort of sticking thoughts, like single phrases that stick and run in the head, is less something that I've had. So this isn't gut punching me as much as I think it would other people, perhaps.
I think that, I think that the way that it's represented in note form, though, is very interesting and conveys something very personal. You can imagine, like... I can certainly imagine writing a diary entry that is just, I wanted to get my thoughts down, and it just turns into... horrible. Like that's really the angle I'm going. Not so much the idea that it's present in a recurring way, like the same phrases.
Yeah.
I'm a writer. I have many ways of criticizing myself.
Yeah.
I don't have to iterate on the same phrases.
Well, one of the first times I was alerted to this being in other people's heads was being friends with someone who very clearly were fixated on certain phrases and terms for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that it was probably just a running loop in their head, right? It's made me very sad.
I guess, yeah. I mean, good round boy pointing out that they're always bummed when anti-sex work language is used as insults or negative self-talk.
Yeah.
I think that obviously the language you use in your own brain is going to be inherently problematic because you are talking yourself down in certain ways. But there is a certain duty in representing that in a game, and
yeah. And
it does feel gross, and I appreciate you moving on from it, while at the same time we should kind of acknowledge it sucks.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving.
And the great point from Good Round Boy saying their experience with sex work are actually some of their best experiences. Work and self-value. Like that's great to hear because it's real work. As a man.
Yeah. Look, I do want to just say at this point, like, this is not going to be an experience for everybody. Like, this is an experience of a game that is doing a thing.
Yep.
We're gonna keep playing it through.
Yeah, and it's a short game, so if you need to, click away if you want to skip to the next video. We're playing another game tonight.
How long roughly till we play the next?
Well, this is meant to be a 15-minute game, and we're sort of stopping and talking. So I mean, you could probably comfortably leave it till 7:30 if you needed to wander away. We would think no less of you. The walking keeps stuttering, and I don't know if the game is meant to be...
I think it is doing that thing where it's slowly glitching out as the game continues. That's a narrative experience. Haven't we had that? I mean, that's sort of actually analogous to the swapper in a weird way.
It's true.
Where as we entered more rooms, it started glitching out.
Okay. Content warning. I do worry that this is going to be a game about suicide or suicidal ideation.
Yes.
Given the track that this is on, content warning.
Yeah.
Woof.
It may be that. Yeah. We'll see how we go.
Oh. Okay. I thought that was going to be a sort of visual metaphor for problems. Here is the gate, and it's open, and you can fit through it. But because you're locked onto this single plane, because you can only move in this direction,
Yeah.
because you're depressed, because you're anxious. You can't actually do what other people could do and move through that game.
That actually, yeah, it kind of feels narrative breaking actually.
But then, yeah, to do this, to go to another load screen.
Oh, a graveyard.
And this is the thing, right? A lot of this language has nothing to do with the ugly term that was used before, right? In terms of talking about events,
Right,
it feels like that sort of, again, it's using that generic put down.
Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, it's true. It could be deeper than I'm shooting on that.
I mean, yeah, it's hitting a broad note of it's painting in broad strokes, and I hope it starts to paint more specifically. You've got to lay down some initial brushwork.
Yeah, it's true.
in
it's
broad
true.
strokes.
I mean, this is some beautiful, like, broad brushstrokes, right? Like, in terms of the mood.
I actually wish it was saying less verbally, but
Yeah.
but I want to treat the game on its terms. I feel like we need to keep going with it and see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're also experiencing it on a slightly weird edge in that we're two people playing it together.
Right.
We're stopping and talking a lot, whereas a lot of people are just going to march through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, suicide did come up. Yeah. I mean, this might be someone might have made this game as a way to deal with something that happened to them, right?
Yeah.
You know, game making as a therapeutic practice.
This is why the distinction between representing it in a game and as an internal monologue is a really strange distinction, especially in a game as a form of self-expression.
Oh, you reckon?
Well, because if all you're doing is taking down things that you've thought about yourself,
Okay.
right, then there's a certain point where it is difficult to draw that distinction. I realise things are happening in the game.
You're getting the stereo sound?
Yeah, there's some stuff going on. There's a bell. That's like just classic spoofy.
Well, it sounded like
but then
something.
there's also like
Something
some
skittering.
Yeah, not a fan of that. I like brutalism as a representation of corruption of the soul. There we go. We're gonna get more brutalism.
Yeah, wow.
If we get through this and it turns out the heist game was a better representation of anxiety, then
We can close it.
yeah, no, I think it's I think
Okay.
it's like
Okay. Yeah, let's close it.
this feels lazy. It
Okay.
does not feel. I'm not happy with this at all.
All right, done.
Sorry?
Closed. No, that's fine. That's fine. We are playing this as a duo, and yeah, I absolutely respect your whether
Yeah.
you want to keep going with
No,
something like that. Yeah,
I-
no, that's fair. Yeah.
Look, I think it is a space I'm comfortable to go in terms of exploring content that is more worthwhile.
Yep. Yep.
I think that
It's just overt.
that the fact that they showed someone suspended from a rope and they gave us the text "Poor Daddy," like that whole this no, I'm
Yeah.
not happy with it at all.
Yeah. I like Good Round Boys. Just I mean, saying this feels both poorly executed and kind of irresponsibly made, but saying very critical of content made about mental illness, and I think that's
The point that
Yeah.
I wanted to make, and the point that I was making,
Mhm.
is that if you make content about your own mental illness, like fundamentally, if I write a diary entry, and like I am essentially creating content as a way of processing, right?
yeah.
Right, like, because what I'm doing is I'm taking something that is very personal to me,
Mhm.
and I'm externalizing it in the form of something that I am proud of, that is an artwork and something that I can celebrate. I am I'm taking something that is rough for me, and I'm putting it out. I think that there is a responsibility you hold when you put something out into the world beyond your diary or beyond showing it to your friends.
Yeah.
That is like I think you need to be more responsible about it, and I'm disappointed because obviously we wanted to play games in a surprising way. Like
Mhm,
I'm certainly not saying that my negative experience of the game is in any way correlated to any
Yeah, yeah, for
component
sure.
of the
Yeah,
stream, because I want
yeah.
it, like, a lot of this is exposing ourselves to new games and new experiences.
Yeah, and sometimes they're going to slip up pretty terribly.
But yeah, that feels like a pretty bad misstep, and I want to acknowledge that, and I want to
Yeah,
be like, yeah,
yeah,
I want to say, no, I'm good. I'm done with that.
that's fair. That's fair.
Um, Sorry.
No, no, no. Oh,
I don't mean to. Yeah, yeah.
I'm fine. Yeah.
Oh,
No, no, no,
no. I just mean in terms of giving us a moment of where there is no game happening, where we're just yeah. But
Yeah.
I was willing to take the game on its terms, to
Mhm,
work
mhm.
through it, that sort of thing. To we were. Can you imagine if you were just playing through that game like straight up and you were just rushing through it? Like you
Yeah,
a
yeah,
minute into a game
yeah.
would see, like, that's, it doesn't feel
Yeah,
right.
realistically, we had not played that long either. Like,
No,
there was probably a bunch more to go. And if that's what they're punching at this point, yeah,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I was expecting, you know, to be real. When I started seeing the notes, I was
Mhm.
like, maybe at the end of this game there will be something like that, and that is something we'll have to confront. But it's also a game that will have built us up to have a new way of approaching it, contextualizing it,
yeah,
approaching it, and we will not be approaching it with the same guilt that we had when we first wrote those initial notes, right? Because that's
yeah.
sort of the arc of a game. Because I've played a couple of games about depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And
Well, here's my fucking take. I think it should be described as a game about suicide.
yeah,
We've been absolutely sign-whited here. Like you know, we've been
yeah,
kind of fooled into thinking it was about like, these things are linked, but I feel like you kind of need to mention perhaps, in the description of your game that's like that is as a shock twist. It was shocking. Yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate. Well, we don't have to put this bit up on YouTube. I don't even have to put that bit up. I can, trim that. We can just cut to this and us talking about it. I'm fine with that.
Do we want to play through Simon Amstel again?
No, look, if we take a break now, then we've got, the better part of an hour to play Islands, non-places, which looks to
Love
be,
that.
much more abstract. It's not trying to tell a story, I think.
Cool.
So
Okay.
I'm not expecting as many surprises.
Cool.
Yeah. This is what happens when you just sort of pick up a game and go, oh, what's this, and dive into it without knowing more.
Totally.
With almost all the other stuff we've played, I've either played a bit of it or heard enough about it that I had some idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I may well play that game in my own time and see what it's like, but it's not something I want to experience on stream.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
So sorry, guys.
And look,
Yep.
if you as a as a viewer want to explore it, it is available. I will post a link to it because I think it might be valuable for some people. I just think it should be better signposted, basically. Just to let people know what the content is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, treat yourself. Get up and have a stretch, or don't. I'm not your dad. As far as I know. Yeah. We'll be back in like 5 minutes. I'm gonna chuck a song on. Of some description.
I'm gonna refresh this tea.
Yeah, you do that.
It's gonna be great.
Treat yourself. Yeah, we'll be back shortly, chat. And if you're watching on YouTube, do click through to the next video. We'll be playing Islands, I presume, unless the whole thing crashes and then we just fucking hang out.
We're appending this onto the end of the previous video now.
Yeah. Oh god, it's a clown car.
We had all those great Dr. Pepper jokes. I don't know if they're gonna land now.
Did we have good?
Well,
The
not
presumption,
now.
The presumption that we had good jokes at any point in time is delightful. It's the kind of lie I want to live in. So let's call this a let's just call it a 5-minute break and then we'll see how we go.
Beautiful.
All right, everybody. Back shortly.